Yeah, start the recording.
So next problem, first problem is like foursome two. So here actually we are given four lists A, B, C, D of integer values, and we have to compute how many tuples I, J, and K. So I, J, K, and L are there such that AI plus BJ plus CK plus DL is zero. To make a problem bit easier, all these are the same length of n, where n lies between 0 to 500, and the integers in this range, and the result is guaranteed to be uttermost this. Yeah. So this is your array, right? So if you club the first values, no, not first values, like first three minus one, sorry, one minus two minus one, and these two. This is what, right? That will give you zero. And again, these three, I mean two minus one, two, no, sorry, yeah, two, and then
Minus
minus
one.
one, and minus one, this one. See,
Yeah.
so we can use the things which we have already used, right?
Mm. So the thing is actually when they say it is the size of array is same, what is that is what they said, right? I have the same length of n to make a problem bit easier. So and also all the result will be guaranteed to be in that integer range. So
True. So
that really makes it a more bit easier, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I was wondering like if the arrays were of different sizes, then it would be more difficult.
difficult in what sense? Like moving the indexes, something like that.
I don't know, but because then I think okay, if the arrays were of different sizes,
Hmm.
like if D was of different size,
Multiple combinations will be there, kind of, right? I mean,
yeah.
kind of something like that.
So, but
I mean,
then why it would be more difficult than in that case?
yeah, that is what I, like, because anyways, we'll do the same thing even in two. I mean, even if the same length is there, right?
Or maybe, we are visualizing the solution now. We know the implementation, and therefore we can visualize that it's not going to be a big deal, right?
Some, yeah, exactly. Maybe, and then
So, yeah, in the first case, if someone just tells you problem, this problem you have never heard of, right, then it might create some confusion.
for
Is it?
multiple,
Hmm.
for
But they
multiple,
won't state that like that in a problem statement. So I was wondering why they say that.
we need to ask them whether it is of variable length or. But I don't find any. I don't know, like why explicitly they have said like this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
no
if
problem. Yeah.
if we go via this route, the brute force will be just check all the possible combinations, right? Take one
Hmm.
element from here, and check at which point of time the four tuples give you zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should be a more straightforward way. So if it's a brute force, it will be n raised to 4, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
And if the arrays were of different sizes, then it would be that many number of n's, n into m into k into j, something like that, right?
Element. Yeah. I mean, and
That's the only different things would have been,
yeah,
because we
yeah,
still would have to go through all the four arrays, because the four arrays are at least fixed, right? So we can pick from any array. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And if we want to optimize it, then how do we do that?
So for optimization, I'm taking every two value as a pair in my key in my dictionary, right? And then I'll find that whether the complement pair exists. If it exists, then we are done.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right? If you take one and minus two, so the key is minus one, right?
Hmm.
I'll search whether one I can get anywhere. So if I get
Hmm.
it, that it will nullify the key whatever I'm having there, right?
Yeah.
So for every element in A, I'm taking pair of arrays and just creating all the possible. Let's do this route. So this is like I'll have first uh, every element of A. So this will be -1, and this will be what, 0, right? I mean, I'm taking this two first and this two, and then 2 minus 2 will take. So this will be 2. We have 0 sums of 2 such arrays, right? And -1 also 2. Makes sense, right? I
Okay.
mean, I'm taking these two like -2, -1. So one pair this, another pair this, and again one pair this, and another pair this. And now from these two arrays, I'll search, can I get +1?
So you are first actually computing these for the A and B array and then storing in a map or some sort of a
Map only, yes.
hash map only, right? Yeah, okay.
Now if I check this, -1 plus 0, and if I take negation of it, this is +1, right? And if I add with this, it will give me 0 result. So I'll take in my count as 2.
Because we are looking for the complement size, it's going to be the target sum is going to be 0. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect. Actually, it's using some space.
Up to your extra.
Then we actually can
But
do in n square.
but if we are taking like AB, right? So since we have four arrays, we are dividing it into two pair, one pair, and checking whether each of my both of my arrays giving me zero or a combination of both. What if my pair is like AC and BD?
So I've taken all the possible pairs. Or you are saying A first element with this array and another from this array.
Yeah, like
So
No problem.
he's actually combining A and B and then C and D.
It won't create a problem because if you are having nullifying, I mean, even if we take A and D and the other complement we find from B and C, that's also fine. After all, we are accumulating them, right? The sum will be 0. So that doesn't make any difference, I think. I
and how are
mentioned,
you making the dictionary only like a counter or a
no. Dictionary is like I'm adding these two values. Like I'll take 1 and -2. So sum is -1. So I'll store, I've seen -1 till now, one time. Now again, I'll take this one, I'll take this. 0, I've seen once. I'll take this and this 0. This is the second time I'm saying 0. So in front of 0, I'll put 2. And this plus the 1, I saw first time. So I'll put 1.
and then you take the addition of C and D and check whether the complement exists in the dictionary. If it is exists, then you make that tuple and return it.
Just we take the count of that because we have to return the number of tuples. You go to that key value and pick up the value out.
And
Yeah.
how do you do the brute force approach? Actually, I joined a bit late. I missed that. How is
All
the
the,
brute force for this?
all the possible combinations you take, like one from this. If you fix this and check all the possible combinations from this, you fix this again, check all possible combinations. Play 1%, 2%, 3%, 4, and give output.
Okay.
I think brute force we can do 4 for loops and nested for loops,
Nested, yeah.
4 of them, yeah, and then we keep on adding at the innermost the loop, all the 4 elements, and then check if it is 0, then we increment our count.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what will be the time complexity of this O of n square?
Yes.
So they are saying there is a binary search also.
Arrays sorted they have given.
No, so if you look at the solution, not the solution, description, if you go down, and then if you look for, yeah, in the related topics, they talk about binary search. I didn't understand.
Ideally, some
Think of it.
Actually, in this implementation only, I have one more question.
Mhm.
Like we have duplicates here, so how is it handled?
We don't care for duplicates, so we just want to find if the sum is 0. So we just
Yeah.
have to pick any element, one element from each and every array, and then we add it. So whatever the value is, that's fine. We just add them to get a value to be 0 when we sum up all of that.
Yeah, but if suppose there are duplicate elements, then there will be multiple pairs which will give. So the ordering will be little different, but the
doesn't
pair
matter.
that will be a unique pair. You mean?
No, we are not counting unique pairs. We are counting n number of pairs, whatever is possible.
Yeah.
Can you show what the solution? What will be the solution for this? The two tuple, the explanation for example.
Yeah, we did draw that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, can you scroll up a bit?
Okay.
Yeah, this one. So only two tuples are here, 0001 and 1100.
Hmm.
But if we go in this way, we will get it in all the orders, right? Like we can get,
Why are you caring about order? It doesn't matter here. You just need to nullify the sum. That's it.
You're considering one quadruple, or a tuple just once. You're not repeating anything.
It won't be repeated because always for every element of you are taking possible.
So is Dipali saying that the duplicate values or duplicate tuples?
duplicate tuples in a different order. So I'm saying is 0001 is there, right? So we might encounter some place where we might have taken like 0010 or something.
How will it happen?
Mm,
How will it happen? Like you are taking every element of A, right? And then combining with B and moving forward. So is it possible that a repetition will be there of tuples?
Yeah, it can be, right? Because if suppose my array was 010, so when I am iterating through the array, after I've checked 0001, I might do like 0010.
Can you annotate? I think it will be better.
Actually, I don't have a concrete example, but what I'm thinking is, yeah, let me. Where can I do that? I'm not having that option to annotate.
okay, you just click on the screen, then you'll see a view option on the top,
Yeah,
and then you pull down, you'll see that annotate there.
oh yeah, annotate is there. So what I'm trying to say is, okay, let's take this example only. So it's for some 1, 2, -2, -1. So you are making a dictionary of the sums, right? So -1 will be having one count. Then 2 -2, 0 will have one count. 1 -1, 0 will have like two count now.
Hmm.
1. And then 2 -1, -1. So both of these having two counts. Now when we iterate through this array, we will take all the combinations, right? Like -1, 0. So -1, we don't have 1, so we'll skip this. Then we'll take -1, 2. So 1 is -1 is there. So we will take -1, 2, -1, 2, right?
Mhm.
Is this a one like 4 tuples, the whole tuple?
Yeah.
So this is the one combination, and 2 is one more. No, 2 is 4. So it's 2 minus 1 2 minus 1 0 minus 1 2 2 0 and 2 2. So only one tuple you are getting here.
No. Why we have only one tuple?
Minus 1 0, which is minus 1. So we don't have a complement. We'll skip this. Then minus 1 2, which is 1. We have a complement, so we'll take 2. So only for this combination we are taking this 2 count, minus 1 2 minus 1 2.
No. -1 plus 2 if you take, result will be +1, right? I mean diagonal, I'm saying.
Yeah, but all the other combinations will skip, right?
If you take
0 2 plus 2.
this will be +1. Plus ka minus, it is -1. And you go to the map and take the value.
Yeah, so 2 will be the answer, right? Just one combination of this. Like,
No, not one combination. 2 is the count. Those many number of tuples you had. 2 tuples are there.
yeah,
Here,
but I'm trying to map it to the actual tuples, what the actual tuples are.
these two will be the actual tuples which they have shown in the example 0001 and 1110. Like one tuple is this 1 minus 2. How much -1 it is, and this and this. These three if you include. This is one tuple, right? And other tuple is this. This, this, and this and this.
Uh, so here it's 1 minus 2 minus 1 2 and 2 minus 1 minus 1 0, the way they have shown in the explanation.
Yeah.
But where is this 0 coming from? Like we took that 2 count from that 1 minus 2. Okay, we are updating the count.
Yeah.
Since we don't have to give the actual tuples, it's fine. Okay, I don't know. I'm confused with it. It's fine.
Store those tuples in a list and then yeah, that would be a bit more one step ahead of this problem. Returning the exact tuples. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that can be stored in the map, something like that, and then you can use it.
Return the values.
Mhm. That should also be possible. Yeah, so see what he's trying to do is he's trying to go through both first two arrays, A and B. Okay, and then he is taking all combinations of A with all combinations of B, right? And all he's adding like one element of A with one element of B. And maybe if we start with the for loop with the zeroth location, right? 0 of A with 0 of B, then 0 of A with 1 of B. So whenever he adds these, and he's going to put that in the map with the count 1, 1, 1. He will keep on incrementing the count. So it means that he's going to take all the combinations of A and B and put that in the map, right? So they are all unique combinations, correct? So now when you run through the second loop from C and D, so you do the same thing. You again look for all the combinations, so they all are going to be unique. So whenever you are going to run through that and whatever the summation you find, you try to negate it because you want to find a complement of that in the map. So whenever you find a complement of that in the map, and if it has a count more than one, so even though there are more combinations of that in A and B, but you're still C and D is a unique combination, right?
Yeah.
So therefore they are going to be all unique combinations.
It's like a palindrome pair problem, right? You have to search two pairs such that they make a palindrome. We did it. We store in a hash map and check the reverse of it whether present in a map or not. Which all indexes combine together to give a palindrome.
The issue is there in the threesome, because the third is so since we take like one pair and then second one, if it is repeating, that time we have to consider those duplicate elements. That's why I think I got confused. But here it's two pairs. So two unique pair will make like unique combinations.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be unique. So that is correct. Yeah, but the binary search one is slightly more,
Advanced, like, I mean,
not so advanced, but yeah, but it's more complex. Yeah, even to think of, it seems. Uh, and it might be more time complexity wise also. I don't know.
efficient.
I didn't try it, but I just saw that now in the description, and I thought just maybe if someone has actually solved it using the binary search, you can just give some inputs. Okay.
Yeah,
So we
then
don't
we are
have, then I think this is also optimized
fine.
version, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we can switch to this game of life. So,
Okay, I have a question on the previous one, foursome two. So if we want to extend this to five sum and six sum, is it possible?
Yeah, that is what they said in that description, correct? Yeah. You can
yeah,
do to
then
K some way, right?
uh, if the three numbers you'll have to check. If it is five sum, you put two numbers same way and three numbers check. But that won't be efficient then. Then you'll just go for binary search, I think.
I
No,
think
actually you can do it this way also. Yeah.
Yeah, this will, but it will be n cube because here three for loops you'll have to do to take three combinations.
this way, right? We can take two pairs, two, three, like three times, and then do a threesome on it.
Yeah, that should also that sounds good.
Two
You'll have
two
to
pairs. I don't think so. That might work. Correct. I'm just
yeah, and
thinking loud
implement it.
because so you see if it's you are saying five sum, right? So in a brute force you will have to have n4 n raised to 5 time complexity. Correct.
Yeah.
So then if you are doing 2 and 1 or something like that, I don't think so it might work. Either you'll have to do 2 and 3 the way Shashank was saying. Correct. So at least you have to exhaust all the possibilities.
Hmm.
Or if it is 6 instead of 5, so 2 won't have work.
Three. I mean, three for one, three
Yeah,
for
you'll
other.
have to have 3 and 3. So it will be n cube solution. Yeah, the time complexity is going to increase.
Hmm.
Instead of n raised to 6, it's going to be n raised to 3. See, still that is a huge saving, correct?
Yeah, and I mean half we reduce NP part from six.
Right. Because I don't think so there might be more optimized way to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the solutions they talk about that and k sum. So how do we do? So we can actually divide it into two, k by two, and that many number of loops you can take, right?
Oh, same thing. What we're talking, right? Two, three, three, three.
Right. So then but we'll have to do a recursive way. That is what they are saying. Uh, I'm not sure whether without recursion also you can do. You can use nested loops. And that is what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Three for loop.
Yeah, but that is a good one actually. There might be a follow-up on this because they might start with N4. If they start from N4, they'll surely stretch for more than N4. Because if they start with two sum, they will come till three sum. But if they come for problems like N4,
Yeah.
and so yeah, four sum, then they can extend for K sum actually.
So,
Because this problem is not the same problem what is for that four sum, what we were discussing in the two sum series. Because in the two sum series, it was single array, correct? So then
yeah.
you go for three sum for a single array and four sum for a single array. But this is actually a slightly different example where we have four different arrays. So that is why this problem is slightly different than the four sum one. because for someone we can use the two pointer approach. Here we can't. Yeah. So they both are slightly different in nature, but this can be extended to KSM the way Deepali was saying. Yeah, and then the complexity will keep on increasing and it will be at least half of whatever the k is. But if it is 5, then it will be at least, if it's a even and odd, so if whatever the odd will be, that will be the time complexity. Yeah.
So our next is like game of life. So here we are given a grid of n cross n cells, and each of the cell has a state, right? If it is live represented by 1, otherwise 0, and each of the cell interacts with 8 neighbors using following 4. And any live cell with fewer than 2 live neighbors dies as if caused by underpopulation, and live cell with 2 or more live neighbors leads on to the next generation. 3 or more than 3 neighbors by overpopulation, and a dead cell with exactly 3 live neighbors becomes a live cell as if reproduction. And the next state is created by applying the above rule simultaneously to every cell in the current cell, where birth and deaths occur simultaneously. So you have to return the next state of the cell given this cell, right?
Okay, so the rules are if the live cell has, so it will always have 8 neighbors unless it is on the border. So if it's on the border, it will have less. But whatever the neighbors he has, and out of that neighbors, 2 of the live cells are okay lesser than 1. Okay, the neighbors which have value 1, okay, it is lesser than 2, then he will die. If it is greater than 3, also he will die, correct?
Yeah.
But if it is equal to 3, then he will become alive.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so 2 and 3, more than, less than 2 and more than 3, he will die. And equals to 3, he will become
Yeah.
alive
Yeah.
or rebirth, yeah, whatever that is. Okay. So now, yeah, let's go further in that because that rule is slightly confusing with the second one, correct? Yeah, second one is just redundant. You just ignore that second, right? Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So same, it's following the rules. Like all the 3 are 0, 0. So this will also make it 0, right? I mean, it's 3 neighbors.
Mhm. So the first one on the row 0,
Okay.
the row 0 you have 1, which is at row 0 and index column 1. That one becomes 0. And the reason why it becomes 0,
3 neighbors.
okay, so because there is only one out of its neighbors. Out of its 5 neighbors, it has only one, and therefore that dies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now if you come to row 1 and in column 0, row 1 and column 0, the first one actually, yeah, that becomes 1. And the reason why it becomes 1 because we have those 3 ones as its neighbor. Okay.
3 ones.
Yeah, it has 3 ones, the neighbors. You have 3 ones. 1, 2,
This
and
one.
3. Yeah, this one. The diagonal of that guy, yeah. And the one on the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are 3, and therefore its value goes from 0 to 1, so it becomes alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then the other one doesn't change anything. And that one, yeah, because it has more than 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we ignore that condition. We just ignore and move ahead.
All the 3 neighbors are there.
This one also has 3 neighbors. Okay,
But
so
1 is 0, 1, and then 0. 2 zeros are there. So
yeah, so we have three ones, right? In that case,
yeah, diagonal is also there.
yeah.
This diagonal and that diagonal.
So this actually doesn't change the state because it's already 1, so it will always be 1.
Yes,
Correct.
it is.
So
Yes.
yeah, so if it was 0, it will become 1. But if it is 1, it's not going to go to 0. It will still be there. Hmm.
Coming to
Okay.
here,
Uh-huh.
has 0, 0, 1, 0, and 0. So it will change to 0 because it has only one in the neighbor.
Correct.
And coming to this, it has 1, 2. Two of the ones are there, and state is 1, so it will remain. And this one, 3. All the 3 ones are there, so it will remain.
Yeah. So it
So
has to become alive. So it will be 1.
similarly with this, if you look, this is 1, this is 1, and this is 0. So 2 ones are there, and state is 1, so it will remain as it is.
Yeah, because for anything lesser than 2, then only we consider, or anything greater than 3 only we consider,
Yeah.
or if it is 3. So that is only condition we are interested in. But if it is 2, we ignore it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this will be alive again because all the 3 are ones.
Right, right. So then this becomes alive and becomes 1, and the rest is same. Okay.
More of a rule. I mean, if we point out, jot down all those rules, right?
Right. Okay. Now, if you look at the problem statement again, yeah. So he's talking something more in that, right? In the
The next,
follow-up.
okay,
Yeah,
got
that is done. Now we have completed with all that rules, right? Now,
yeah,
if you look at the constant is nothing much, right? Just above that follow-up. Slightly, can you scroll up, please?
yeah, yeah.
So we just
Constraint.
look at the constraint also. So if we have m board size n, then we have mn less than or equal to 25. So they are actually reasonable, right? And so a
Yeah,
binary, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So therefore we just come to the follow-up and then we actually look at the follow-up also. And then we actually go for the implementation. Correct.
Yeah. Only in place you have to do, and the board needs to be updated simultaneously. That means you can modify the given input.
Correct, correct, yeah.
You cannot update some cells first and then use their update given. Otherwise, it will disrupt your result.
Mhm.
Or we have to directly calculate that cell's value.
Right, right. We have to actually update the cells value based on the rules.
That is not the what follow-up is, right?
Follow-up says, you can update. First of all, the way Shashank was actually walking through, in that case, what we could do, a normal implementation is, we create another board array. We don't disturb the input array and just follow the rules as he was explaining and then change the values. That is trivial, right?
Hmm.
Just going through rows and columns the way he was walking through. And whenever he finds a one, he looks for its neighbors and then he takes a decision. So that actually the implementation was actually he was walking through. Correct. So
Yeah.
now, yeah. So now when we come to the follow-up, what they say is there are some things what they want us to do is first do it in place. And when we are doing it in place, so it means that we are allowed to modify the input array. But they are saying that if you modify, you need to keep in mind two things, that some of the cells values are actually different. When you modify, they become different, right? Because if you use a different array, in that case you don't have to bother about this condition. But now when you are actually modifying it and going further ahead in your checking at neighbors of a particular cell, the some of the previous neighbors values will be different. So you will have to take that into account when you are actually taking this follow. So then how would you do that?
Same like we'll modify the matrices and we'll have to keep track of some variables, something like that. I mean,
Okay.
I have that implementation.
Okay. And what is the second follow-up? In this question, we represent the board using 2D array. In principle, okay, that is a very different follow-up, right?
Yeah,
Okay, let's keep that later. So the first follow-up at least. So
What is the second one? If the board is infinite.
right, right, right.
So, in that case, how would we converge?
how do you
Yeah,
address
that
this?
is how would you address the whole thing.
Border. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, in that case, yeah, that we can just keep it last. But the first follow-up at least we can do, right? Because we already implemented the normal one,
Hmm.
the walkthrough, right? But now this one, what are you saying, Shashank? You want to? Okay, do you want to
In,
go through that the first implementation? Yeah, we can go that also.
yeah, this is in place only. I'm modifying the given input.
Okay.
So I'm just calculating the rows and columns and walking through each of the cells, right? And these are the conditions. If it is 0 or if it is equal to 2, then inside we pass that particular the coordinates and we check if that is equal to 3, then we update it to 2. That a kind of visited, you can say.
What is
Mhm.
NNP?
NMB is a function that I made which will check all those rules here. I mean, you should be greater than the boundary. I mean, you shouldn't go beyond the boundary. And whatever you have in the diagonal, that mod 2 we are taking and then giving the adding that to the count.
Okay. So it's going through the neighbors of each and every cell. And then whenever the value is equal to 1 or more than 1, right? In this case now, some of them
Yeah.
will be more than 1, right? Yeah. So you are just taking that value. Okay. So what was your strategy here? You are saying that instead of updating it from 0 to 1, you are making it 2, correct?
Yeah, 2 is like just that to mark that cell as been visited, right?
Okay. So the
And
previously the value was 0, then it will become 2 instead of
hmm,
becoming 1, right?
because 0 and 1 already in the matrix, so number free is 2. So I mean 2 we took as a
Yeah, makes sense. So that is the way you are distinguishing. So any cell which has converted from 0 to 2, okay, so its
hmm,
previous value. So when you see a value 2, it means its previous value is 0.
yeah.
Okay. And then if you come for the next one, the next rule, when you are saying you are setting the board value to 3, in that case, you are actually saying if it is less than 2. So whenever you are converting a board's value from 1 to 0, so then you are saying it is going to be 3.
3, yes.
Okay. So the previous value will be 1 in this case.
Hmm.
Okay, and therefore in the count of MNB, what you are looking at, if you do it a mod of 2, so you will get the normal value.
Value of it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's
Because
that's a good way of doing it.
if it is 3, then 3 mod 2 will be 1, and if it is 2 mod 2 will be 0.
Correct. Yeah, makes sense.
And this is other condition, like if you pass in the board, if it is less than 2 or greater than 3, the do these two, right? The
Yeah,
top two,
the role.
I place 3 over there.
Hmm. So if you want to
And
kill a cell, it has to be lesser than 2 or greater than 3.
greater than 3, yeah.
Yeah.
And these are the cases like let's say if you have what do you say, now we are going through each of the cells, right? Again,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and now if board of ij equal to 2, then we place 1 over there, right?
Yeah.
And if it is 3, then we put 0 over there.
Hmm.
But
Makes
what
sense?
So
less than 2?
Pardon?
What if it is less than 2?
Yeah, we have taken here, right?
Oh, we are making it 3 and then
Couple of checks. Yeah.
Shashank, what is that first two for loops are doing at 7th line and 8th line? Those two for loops are for which thing, and that 15th line and 16th line for loops for which one?
16, this is like I'm updating the values depending on whatever my function is returning, right? Depending on its neighboring cells. And when now what we are doing after the cells are updated, I mean, now we are doing, we are checking if any value is equal to 2, then we make it to 1. And if it is 3, we make it to 0. Like modifying. First you will modify, you will get a couple of 2s and 3s in this matrix, right? This matrix, and now this matrix has to be returned back to the 0 1 combination, right? So according to the rules, I am again, if it is 2, I'll make it 1, if it is 3, I'll make it 0, isn't it?
Okay, but why are you converting them into 2s and 3s? I don't get that, like into 2 and into 3.
Then I think you didn't follow the rules then. These are the 4 rules.
See, if you follow the rules and if you do the implementation as we
You will,
discussed for the previous one,
hmm,
with actually not changing anything in place, so what you would do? You would actually keep on modifying the same cell values. So now you are actually changing the values, but when we go to a next cell and when we take the previous cell as its neighbor, so you don't have the previous values, correct?
yeah, makes sense.
Yes, yes.
So for that is the reason he is actually converting these values in such a way that he can take those values later on and find whatever the value was previously. What was the previous
Okay,
value inside
okay.
that cell? So he has smartly used 2 and 3, and so if we use a modulo operator so, for on 2, because earlier the value was 0, therefore it is becoming 2 now here, and the previous value now which is on line 14 which is becoming 3, so its previous value was 1. So if you want to get back the previous values, he just have to do a mod to operator on it, and then he will get the previous value.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
You have to just jot down these rules, and then if you just try to correlate with the statements, you'll get it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Shashank.
Yeah. So this way it is very clear because now you have to come in line 15 and 16 and restore the values back to 1 and 0, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that is a very simple thing, and then we are
This is
done.
in place kind of modifying.
Yeah, this is in place one. So 2 and 3 taking that value makes more sense. Okay,
Yeah.
this is good. Now if you go for the second
Second,
follow-up.
what is this?
Okay, second follow-up, they are saying it's if the board size is infinite. So it means that if we have a very big board,
Mhm.
and so what does the discussion going on? Everyone it talks about. It's like if it's a they're trying to see if it can scale. You know, so in that that is what the intention is. So if you have a very big one in a distributed system, so how do
Mhm.
we manage that, right? So we put
Oh,
it on different nodes and all that stuff.
system design.
So right, it's more of a design question now. It gets converted to that. So then, how do we handle that? So one thing comes up. What in the discussion is, so if you look at it this way, if it's a very huge matrix, fine, but then the number of ones and zeros, it depends on that. If it is sparse, some or the other it will be sparse. Either it will be sparse on the ones or it will be sparse on the zero. Correct. So whatever is the lesser, you just take that value, okay, and instead of means creating a board size of m by n, in that case it won't be possible. It will be very huge. You cannot create at least on a single node. Okay, if you want to create on multiple nodes, then you have different challenges. So you'll have to handle that. Okay, but instead of that, if you make a list, okay, of all the values which are ones, if it is sparse, so if you have lesser ones, you just make a list of all those using the coordinates. Correct. And then you
Okay.
work on it. Now you will have a sort of a list or something like that, a different data structure, which will have a pair of X and Y. So the X and Y will be the coordinates of a particular board, and they will represent the value of that particular coordinate as 1 if ones are lesser. Okay, so we'll have to take a call there. So if the sparse board is of lesser ones, then we go that route, and if it is we have more ones, then we go for the zeros.
Second, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then we do our calculations based on that. Now this being more of a design and not an implementation. So if it is an implementation, I think people are doing that implementations also. And that is more complex. Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't go in that details about how to implement it.
Yeah. Maybe for like, I mean, first follow up is like in place, and second step ahead on multiple servers if the data is spread, something like that, right?
Right.
Now,
But surely they will come to that also follow up, and because people are giving answer, so it means it is expected.
common question, yeah. I mean, not for us. I mean,
Not a common question, but that is what it is,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So someone has implemented in Python only, and
Yeah.
yeah, so he's implemented a game of life infinite, and then he's taking the collection of all of this, right? And then
Yeah.
based on your I and j value, you can find them and then try to see if it is closer to the neighbor based on its coordinate values, right? That should also be possible, because if you know the coordinate of a current cell, right, and then
Mhm.
you can, if you can add plus minus plus 1 and minus 1 to each and every x and y, you can get all the 8 coordinates, and you try to find if those 8 coordinates are present in the list what we were looking for, and get the values from there, and then we can decide, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
And then we can change, and as per whatever we change, we can again put them in the list if it's 1, or if it is going to be 0, then we remove from the list, something like that. So that is also possible,
In some cases, yeah. Mm.
right? So that is the way one implementation is, and they are saying there are many implementations in the discussions, but this implementation was reasonable, correct?
More case, yeah. Like
Yeah.
before. Yes.
So worst case, we should be able to do this, and it looks a bit straightforward, not a very complex one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Uh,
only the problem statement is more becoming more complex. Yeah, go ahead.
in the like the one that was not in place, we were using it update using some other metrics to update the values, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we were actually creating the whole board again, and then we are copying that input board to this new board,
And
and
here
then
we are updating that whatever cell is to particular number, and then in the second pass we are changing the values depending upon the result.
mhm. Yeah,
Cheat code has this infinite board solution also, but didn't get that.
yeah. So that is what actually the infinite board solution is. They look for if it is a sparse matrix, and then they pick up all of these values which are 1. They take its coordinates only. They don't take the whole board, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then they form a sort of list or something like that. And then that another function game of life infinite actually does the computation of looking for a particular cell, going through all its neighbors and trying to find if it is if they are all are ones. Okay, and based on the rules, if it is 3 and 2, actually I think it is going to be live, right?
There, yeah.
Yeah. Or then if it is lesser than 2, it is going to be 0. So based on that, they actually change the current cell's value, and then they either put it back into that list or actually remove it from the list based on the rules.
The I mean, based on the values of the matrix.
Right, yeah.
So when they are updating the uh, counter, they are just taking which all positions there is one, or there is some
Yeah.
other also.
So whatever is 1 actually is picking up all that.
From,
Okay.
yeah, then we can switch to next.
Yeah.
Right. Look. So a walking robot simulation. So what is this? A robot on an infinite XY plane, starting from origin and faces the north. And it can receive one of the 3 possible types of commands. So -2 will make it turn left 90 degree, and turn right by 90 degree. -1 command is given, and if k is between 1 and 9, you move forward k units, and both of them are inclusive in that case. And some of the grid squares are obstacles, and ith obstacle at given grid point is denoted by the xy coordinate. A robot will try to move on to them, and a robot stays on the previous grid square instead, but still continues following the rest of the route. We have to return the maximum Euclidean distance that the robot will form from the origin. Okay, I mean, okay, got it. If the distance is this, right? So 5 minus 0 the whole square. So plus y means north, east means plus x. Okay. So these are the following the. We can draw this, right? That means plus ka y. That means this is north minus ka this. This is east, right? East is plus ka this. Okay. And this
The
is
right is east, yeah. West.
direction. So commands initially 4 they have given, right?
Mhm.
4 is okay. 4 is 4 units they have to move in what direction? They mentioned something there. If they give k, move further k units. So initially is at origin and 4 I'm giving. So he will move where? On the plus x axis or what?
So now he is facing north, so he'll always go north, right?
Oh, he has written is facing north. Okay.
Right, right.
First.
So that is
Okay.
always he'll be facing north at 0, 0. So that is fine. But the more important is when he's actually going to turn to 90 degrees to the left and to the right.
So currently robot is here, right? 4 units from here.
Mm, and there's nothing to be 4 units. It's just okay. The example, if you want to follow, yeah, that is fine. But initially it will be at 0, 0, and then he will be facing north. So if you give 4, then it will walk 4 steps to the north,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and then you see -1. So -1 means you turn right 90 degrees.
So right means this way.
Yeah, so he'll go to the east, and then
Yeah.
again you are having a value 3, so he'll again walk 3 steps there. Okay,
Yes.
and then you take 4 and 3, and this is a right angle triangle. So if you take the hypotenuse, it's going to be 4 square plus 3 squares, which is equal to 25.
5.
Yeah. So
So
actually you
20.
will return 25, right?
Yes.
So that is what we are have to return. So now the thing more important is when you get -1 and -2. So how do you change the direction?
Like the way we changed here. I mean,
Yeah. So
depending on that.
because
Yeah,
uh-huh.
but,
So because we
I,
have an x and y coordinates now,
uh,
so we'll have to see what if we change, if we have a -1 first time, then it is fine. We know that we have to increment because initially if nothing is there, we don't have any -1 and -2 coming in. So you'll always increment your y coordinate, correct? Because it's facing north. Then
yes.
when you get -1, then you will start incrementing only your x coordinate. Correct. So again, if you get another -1, then you are going to again change your y coordinate. But now this time you are going to decrement your y coordinate. Correct. And then again you have one -1. Then at that time you are actually going towards the west, and therefore you are going to decrement your x coordinate. Right. So the same thing you will have to do when you get -2, but in the reverse way now. So -2 represents is going to turn from north position if it was at north initially, facing north at 0, 0 location. And if you get a -2, it is going to turn towards your first left side, which is going to be the west. So it means that you are going to decrement your x coordinate in that case.
Hmm.
So it's going to be just the reverse way of what is going to happen when you get -1.
Minus. So -1 is for this direction, -2 is for this direction,
Right.
and rest wherever you are, you just move accordingly.
Yeah.
No. After that, thing becomes and okay. Obstacles they didn't say.
Yeah. So first, what we have to do is by using these uh, commands, we need to find from now we know that initially it is at 0, 0 position, and then in the first example he says you need to walk 4 units to the north. So your next coordinate will be 0, 4, correct? Because you walked 4 units in the y direction. So when you say you walk 4 units in the y direction, it means it's going to be 0, 4. And then using this 0, 4, you need to find if there is an obstacle or not in your obstacle input.
Yeah.
So you'll have to go and find out. So now either you go and traverse the whole obstacle array, or you can actually put that in some data structure which can be accessed in a more efficient manner.
And if obstacles are there, then
Yeah, any obstacles are there, then what it says?
we revert our direction, right? Either
We
we
just
try
don't
to
go in that direction.
Do nothing.
we revert it. I mean, yeah, yeah. We terminate that at that point itself, right?
Yeah, I think it doesn't move, no? That is what you say.
It doesn't mention anything like that. If robot try to move on to them, the robot stays on the previous grid square instead. Okay,
So
he has written. Robot try to move on them, the robot
Yeah.
stays on the previous grid square. I mean, means
So in this case, if it was 0, 0, and then 0, 4 was an obstacle, then it will still remain on 0, 0. It won't move.
origin itself from where it started, where it was earlier, right?
Right, that is what I think. Okay.
Clearly, it's basically yeah. So then it's like we are simulating whatever they have given, right?
Yeah,
As per
yeah.
the
Right.
I don't think so any brute force or efficient. Only in implementation it depends.
Hmm.
So these are the 4 directions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up, down, right, left. I mean, north, south, east, west. And
Okay.
here, these are the obstacles which I'm mapping the tuples with them. Initially, ij coordinate is 0, 0 starting from origin, and d is the amount of moves what we make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now for every commands in our array, let me segregate this little here. For every command, if the command is -2, that means what? You need to move towards the west, right?
Hmm.
So d is equal to d plus 1 mod 4 we are doing.
Yeah, so in your case, that's correct. So if you add 1 to that, so you'll follow your move array, right? So if you keep on getting minus 2, and if you keep on adding d plus 1, so that is the way you'll move in your move array,
Or in like you'll keep on moving this way.
right?
Yeah.
How are you making this move array?
Move array, all the directions we are mentioning now, like
Yeah,
left, right.
but if we are going right, you are going one step ahead in the move array. And if you are going, if you're going left, then you're going one step ahead in the move array. And if you're going right, you are going one step behind in the move array.
Uh,
So how did you make that array? Like following the right path or?
no, generally for every DFS call, we do know all the 4 directions. It's just a reference point. If
Yeah,
it
but
is,
here the order matters, right?
Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
So he's actually maintaining, if we take this one, right? If we move to the left always. So that is what he is actually following in this move array now. Because if you look at the first value, which is 0, 1, it means you are moving to the on the y-axis in the positive side. So it's moving to the north, correct? So if you look for the second one, it is -1, 0. So at x, if it is -1, so it's decrement the x value, so it's moving to the west side, right? And if you look for 0, -1, he's moving to the south side because y is -1. And this one, 1, 0 will be to the east side. So then he's taking this. Therefore, if you look at on line 6, when you get a command of -2, so -2 means that you want to turn left 90 degrees. Right. So if you want to turn left 90 degrees, so if you just follow this d plus 1 always, 1, 1, 1, so you will always go on going in this array in the forward direction, in the move array in the forward direction. And similarly, if you get -1 on line 8, so he's trying to turn to the right side. So if you want to turn to the right side, so if you follow the same move array in the reverse way, correct? So it's as if we are actually moving to the right side now. So therefore you are subtracting -1, but in order to take care of the wrapping condition, so you are doing a modulo 4.
so D is on this movement, right? If it is plus, it will
Correct.
go this. Otherwise, it will go reverse. Right?
Yeah. So D will be from left to right and D plus 1. So if it is -1. -2, sorry. So it will be from left to right, but if it is -1, the command is -1, it is going to be right to left.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is okay.
And
So
this other, I mean, if like it is the general case condition, if it doesn't format, I mean, k is between 1 to 9, then you just take that particular coordinate of the given move, right?
yeah,
And as long as there is command, you just they have told that move k further unit, so I plus x, j plus y. And if there is no I mean, if this point is not in our obstacle array, then just to increment by dx dy, I mean, the xy coordinate,
mm,
and reduce the command by 1, because if k units are there till the point k hits 0, keep on moving front. And this is the max initial distance I've taken as 0, the max, and now Euclidean distance as square plus j square. Whatever the max of it, you restore it over there in the max and return it, right?
yeah. So at the end, we always keep on adding the the values to the x and y, right? So because we always start from 0, 0 coordinate, so whatever the end we come in, so whatever the values are at the x and y,
Yeah.
oh sorry, I and j, correct. So
Mhm.
those values will be our maximum position from our 0, 0, and then if we just take the square of that value and return it. No, we actually have to find the maximum value. No, sorry, my
Maximum.
bad. Yeah,
To find the last coordinates Euclidean distance, right? So why are we need not take this max every time.
no, he's saying the maximum distance. It's not the last one. So while you are traversing that, you might happen to come back to 0, 0 also, right? So in the whole journey, where whenever we are away from 0, 0, the maximum 0, 0, maximum distance from 0, 0, that we need to return, and therefore that max comes into picture.
And I have one question. So when we are hitting an obstacle, with that time, we do not we stay at the same position, right? Like, for example, at x, I plus x and j plus y, there is an obstacle, but we can still traverse to the previous point. So do we explore? Do we have to explore that or stay at the same position? Because in this question, they have said that it will stay at the previous position.
Yeah, it won't move. So see, if you look at line 12, what he's doing, he's trying to find if it's there in the obstacle. If it's not in the obstacle, then only he's adding the x and y to I and j. Or else your I and j values will remain the same what they were earlier.
Um,
Right?
If the robo try to move on to them, the robo stays on the previous grid square instead. Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So this sum for Shashank, I don't think so. It should be an easy category,
Yeah,
correct?
I was about to say it's not an easy tag problem.
It's not at all easy. Yeah. Because initially when I actually started looking at it and never
It's
looked
like
at.
there for the question.
Right. So because even coming to this obstacle, the move one, what you are doing here, the directions array, that is also very difficult to visualize because you have to move the left and right side, you know.
Yeah,
Now it is more easier, but initially it was very difficult for me.
it's figuring
Yeah.
out is difficult, like how
Yeah.
do we move on that.
So it should be at least medium, I would say. But yeah, fine. If it's easy, easy. Can't help. Yeah.
Might be
Because,
earlier, might be medium only. They might have changed it to easy.
huh, yeah, no problem. So, but what that is what it is. So we can't help. So, because implementing all these things and think getting a correct solution for that direction array is the very key. And moving to the right and left and right.
For this move array, I for example, like we are at 0 minus 1 in the grid, and we are getting the command -2. So at that time, we'll go to the um, 1
So,
comma 0, right? Because
so,
it's right. And if we
so,
have a -1, then we go to 1 comma 0.
so you are saying what location you are initially?
Yeah, like if I am at particular location and I get -2 -1 command. Let me I'll annotate and quickly.
Like Shashank, what is the purpose of D here?
D is a
Is it-
pointer actually
Pointer. How do you? D is a pointer on this array. Like
in
if
this
you have to
move array.
move right, then I mean east plus x, then you go. D will go. Sorry, if this is -2 stands for west direction, right?
Yeah, -2 stands for west direction,
Yeah.
left side.
Then you will go in this positive, and if it is the other way, then you will go in this reverse direction.
Like at that time, D will be 1. Like if it is -2, D will become 1. So here you are taking x comma y as move of D.
No, this is the general case. This is like for the case where k your this one last case.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And those two are the special cases, 90 ka left and 90 ka right.
See, Karthik, there are
Okay.
many problems related to grid in a DFS. So if you actually go and try to solve some of them, so this problem might be more easier to follow.
So which problems should I go and solve? What are those problems? Grid in DFS.
Yeah, there are many DFS problems, and then if you find if there is a grid associated with that, so you will
Okay.
have to actually look in some of the problems. Then this will be very
Okay.
easy to follow. Yeah.
So
Uh,
I'm
Mhm.
trying to say is here these coordinates are there, right? And suppose I am at 0, comma 1 location, my cell, for example.
Mhm.
So now when we are moving to the left, in my array, the 0, comma 1 is here. So when
Mhm.
I'm moving to like left, I'll go to 1, comma 0, right? Because like how I'm not able to depict it here. Like I'm at 0, comma 1. If we go left, it will be wrapped around. So it will give, in this array, it will be 1, comma 0, isn't it?
Well, okay. See, now you are at you are saying that you are at 0, 1 location, correct? Forget about this moves arrow for some time. So move array is actually giving you what you want to rotate. Okay, this is for rotation, correct? So this is nothing to do with for now. So what are you going to do when you want to rotate? That is what actually the move array comes into.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to understand. That when we so that this is how it is, right? This if I map it to this 2D grid or 2D XY axis,
Mhm.
it will come like this. So if I move in this direction, this is a right clockwise direction, and anti-clockwise direction will be the left direction.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if I'm going to the right, if I'm at 0, comma 1 and I'm moving to the right direction, it should be 1, comma 0, which is yeah, +1.
Mhm. See, so now if you follow an example, right? Okay, if you go to the first example which says 4, okay. So initially you will be at 0, 0 location, correct? So when you are at 0, 0 location, what are you going to do? You will come to this line 5 for command. You will come inside. Your command is not -2. Command is not -1. It will come to that else part in 10.
Mm.
Okay. So in that case, your move D, D is initially value will be 0. So it will be 0, 1. So your X and Y will be 0 and 1. Correct. And I and J are what are I and J initially? So they both are zeros, right?
0, 0. Yeah.
Yeah, because they are the 0, 0 position. So what will happen? So in that case, your X and Y will be so X and Y will be 0, 1 still. So you will add 0 and 1, right? Okay. Oh, sorry. Your command will be actually, it will be 4, no? So you will keep on adding 4 times y. So y actually is going to be 0, 1, correct? So I will be adding only 0, but for j, you will be adding 1, 1, 1 4 times because your command value is 4. Correct. So now your I and j will be 0 and 4.
Hmm.
So then when you are done, you come to the next stage. What it says is the next command is -1. So at that time, you are coming to line 8 and it will be -1. So what you are going to do, earlier your d was at 0. So d minus 1 will be -1, and -1 mod of 4 will be what is that going to be now?
Hmm. I think
So
yeah, it's making sense. Yeah.
yeah, so it will go to the next value. So it will be 1, 0 in that case. Right. And so now when we further get a value like 3, in that case, then you are going to actually increment your x at that time because you are actually going to be the last value 1, 0. So you are going to add I 3 times. Correct. So now you will be at the end you will be I will be 3 and j will be 4.
Hmm. Like he
I think that 16th step we don't have to do it, right? Like we can directly calculate like I square plus j square and return that value after completing that entire for loop for command in commands for loop.
No, but if you reach to 0 from where you started, that's again.
No, you'll have to, if you'll have to look at the problem statement, it says at the end, return the maximum distance that the robo will be from the origin. And the robo
Okay,
can
okay.
move from origin in all direction and come back to the origin, correct? So if it is the last value, if we take of I and j, in that case, it will be 0, 0. But we
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want
yeah.
that. We want the maximum in its journey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this is good. Okay. I think, yeah, Deepali actually drew that diagram